Can landlords recover lost rental income during an eviction period? Imagine this. You have a tenant who hasn't paid rent for several months, and now you're facing an eviction process. Can you get that money back? It's a question many landlords ask when dealing with unpaid rent during an eviction. The answer is yes, but it involves following specific legal steps. When a tenant stops paying rent, landlords usually send a formal notice that states how much is owed and gives the tenant a deadline to pay or leave. If the tenant ignores this, the landlord can file an eviction lawsuit in court. Once the court issues an eviction order and the tenant is removed, the landlord can then seek a judgment for unpaid rent and damages. To recover lost income, landlords often start by filing a claim in small claims court. This process is straightforward and handles amounts usually up to a certain limit, which varies by state. You will need to show your lease agreement, payment records, the eviction notice, and the court's judgment. If the court rules in your favor, you can then pursue collection methods. One option is hiring a debt collection agency. These agencies work to recover unpaid rent by negotiating with tenants or taking legal actions. They usually charge a fee or a percentage of what they recover. Another method is enforcing the court judgment through legal procedures like wage garnishment or bank account levies. These actions requiring following legal procedures and depend on your state's laws. Sometimes, landlords consider writing off unpaid rent as a bad debt for tax purposes. However, it's best to consult a tax professional to understand the tax implications of this. It's important to note that during the eviction process, landlords generally cannot collect rent from the tenant still occupying the property unless the tenant pays voluntarily. In some cases, courts may order tenants to pay rent into the court registry during an appeal or ongoing legal process. The ability to recover lost rental income depends on local eviction laws, the tenant's financial situation, and how proactive the landlord is in pursuing legal remedies. The time limit for collecting unpaid rent, called the statute of limitations, varies by state but is usually between 3 and 10 years. Acting quickly is always better. In summary, landlords can recover unpaid rent after an eviction, but it requires following legal steps, filing claims, and sometimes using collection agencies or enforcement actions. Knowing your local laws and working with legal professionals can help you get back what's owed.